And I refer, of course, to Pincher, or Pinch Him, as he might more properly have been called. It's not a joke, actually. Pincher was made the Deputy Chief Whip of the government by Boris Johnson, despite Boris Johnson knowing that he was a drunken, sexual predator of the worst kind, preying on young men and boys openly in public places, never mind what he would do in private. And so drunk, he could not stand up straight. So drunk, he could not say the sound of his own name. So drunk, he could not tell taxi drivers where it was he lived. So drunk that he was habitually poured into black cabs and officials paying the fare in advance and telling the cabbie where to take him. And heaven help any young man that crossed his path, because he wouldn't just be propositioned, he would be sexually molested and allegedly sexually assaulted by a government minister, by the Deputy Chief Whip of the government. And Boris Johnson knew all of that. He knew exactly what Pincher was. And worse, he denied that he had known what Pincher was. He couldn't recall the specific detail, he said, forcing the former head of the British Civil Service, the noble Lord Macdonald, to take to the airwaves and call him a liar. The former head of the Civil Service had to tell the country that the Prime Minister was lying, that the Prime Minister had been personally briefed 2 years ago, before he made the appointment of Pincher, that he was a sexual assaulter of young men. Now, of course, he's not the only one. The chief whip of the separatist SNP is also an alleged sexual molester, groper of teenage boys. There have been many such weirdos in the British Parliament. I even knew one or two of them myself. One of them, a grand old man, shared a taxi with me, and I used to drop him off at Dolphin Square, a very famous old man, until one night he put his hand on my knee and invited me up for a drink. I told him, old boy, I don't drink, and you shouldn't either, for your health, not to mention your moral well-being. But he insisted, and I had to keep refusing ever more rudely. So there's a lot of these weirdos in politics, but they don't all get appointed as the Deputy Chief Whip by a Prime Minister who has been personally briefed about their predilections, their peccadillos, and yes, their crimes. That's what put the skids under Boris Johnson's premiership. Not even more serious things like war, famine, sickness, pestilence, and disease. All of these things should have done for Boris Johnson, but it was Pincher that finally done for him.